Let me ask you something direct. If your salary doubled tomorrow, would you actually be wealthier? Or would you just have a nicer apartment, a newer car, and the exact same amount of stress at the end of every month? Because here is what most people discover too late. You can make six figures and still live paycheck to paycheck. Not because you are bad with money, not because you made terrible decisions, but because nobody ever told you that income and wealth are two completely different things. And confusing them is the most expensive mistake you will ever make. Stay with me through this entire video, because the framework I am going to walk you through today, and the specific numbers behind it, will change how you see every dollar that comes into your life from this point forward. Look at the Forbes list. Take your time with it. You will not find the hardest worker on there. You will not find the person who logged the most hours or said yes to the most meetings. What you will find consistently across every name on that list is ownership, founders, investors, people who own things that generate value while they sleep. The trap most people fall into is believing that income equals wealth. It does not. Income is what you trade your time for. Wealth is what works without you. And the moment you understand that distinction, the entire game changes. When you depend entirely on your next paycheck to cover your next bill, you are not building wealth. You are renting your life from your employer. The shift, the real one, happens when you stop asking, "How do I make more?" and start asking, "What do I own?" Now, here is where most financial advice fails people. It tells them to have discipline, save more, spend less, cut the coffee. And for about 3 weeks, people try. Then life happens. An unexpected bill, a bad week, a celebration they did not plan for. And the whole system collapses because discipline requires a decision every single day. That is exhausting. And exhausting systems do not survive contact with real life. The wealthiest people do not have better willpower. They have better structures. They automate. They allocate. They decide once and let the system run without requiring constant effort to maintain it. That is the foundation of what I want to walk you through today. A percentage-based framework that works whether you are earning $2,000 a month or $10,000 a month, because the percentages scale while the structure stays exactly the same. Here is how it breaks down. 20% of everything you earn goes toward growth, investments, skills, assets that multiply. This is the most important number in the entire framework. This is the percentage that determines whether you are working until you are 70 or whether you have genuine options at 50. Pay this first, not what is left over at the end of the month, because there will never be anything left over at the end of the month. Automate a transfer the moment your income hits your account. Make investing the default, not the afterthought. 10% goes towards stability, your emergency buffer, the protection that prevents one bad month from becoming 6 bad months. Here is how to calculate your target. Add up your monthly essential expenses, multiply by 5 or 6, and that is the number you are building toward. If your essentials run $2,500 a month, you need between $12,500 and $15,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account, earning 4 to 5% annually. This money is not meant to grow aggressively. It is meant to be there, liquid, safe, and ready, so that when life happens, you are not forced to liquidate your investments at the worst possible moment. 60% covers your actual essentials: housing, food, transportation, utilities, insurance. That is the list. Everything else is a luxury dressed up as a necessity. And here is the uncomfortable truth most people never face. The two biggest wealth destroyers are housing and transportation. People stretch for the maximum mortgage they qualify for and then wonder why they cannot save. They finance vehicles they cannot truly afford because monthly payments feel manageable until they are trapped in them for 6 years. If you earn $5,000 a month and your rent is $1,800 and your car payment is $500, you have already consumed 46% of your income on just 2 line items before a single grocery or utility bill appears. You are not building wealth at that point. You are servicing lifestyle debt. And the final 10% exists for one reason: to keep you sane. This is guilt-free spending, dining out, travel, whatever genuinely brings you enjoyment. And before you assume this is the throwaway category, understand why it is structural. Systems built on extreme deprivation create emotional backlash. People restrict, 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 and then binge spend out of resentment. The 10% enjoyment allocation prevents that cycle. It keeps the system sustainable because it is not asking you to punish yourself indefinitely. You are living now while building for later. Now, here is the part that surprises people. The 20% going toward growth. Where does it actually go? This is not about finding the perfect stock or timing the market. It is about building a diversified foundation across different risk levels that you add to consistently over time. Start with the boring end. High-yield savings accounts and government bonds. Low risk, lower return, but high liquidity. When you are beginning, preserving capital matters as much as growing it. From there, the majority of your growth allocation belongs in broad market index funds and ETFs. The S&P 500 has averaged approximately 10% annually over the long term. You are not trying to beat the market. You are trying to match it consistently over decades. The difference between earning 10% and earning 8%, which sounds small, is the difference between your money doubling every 7 years versus every 9 years. Over 30 years, that is an entire additional doubling cycle. Here is the surprise I want to share, and most financial content skips right past this. The highest return investment available to most people is not a stock, not real estate, not any financial instrument at all. It is a high-income skill. A course or program that costs $2,000 and increases your annual earning potential by $20,000 is a 10 times return in year one. No financial asset does that reliably. Copywriting, sales, coding, video editing, digital marketing. These skills compound in ways that pure financial investing cannot match in the early stages. The wealthiest people understand this. They invest in assets that multiply financially, and they invest in themselves in ways that multiply their income simultaneously. Let me show you what consistency actually produces, because the numbers are more dramatic than most people expect. A 25-year-old who invests $500 monthly from age 25 to 35, just 10 years, and then stops completely, will have more at 65 than someone who starts at 35 and invests $500 monthly every single month for 30 years straight. Same monthly contribution. The only difference is when they started. That is compounding. And the reason most people never experience its full power is that they pull out during downturns, reset the clock, lose the momentum that was quietly building, and never give it enough uninterrupted time to do what it was always designed to do. Market downturns are not a sign that something is broken. They are a sign that the market is doing exactly what it always does. It goes up, it goes down, and over the long term, it trends upward. The people who build genuine wealth are not smarter than everyone else. They are simply the ones who stayed invested when it was uncomfortable to do so. Here is where this all lands. Salary alone will never be enough. That is not pessimism. It is structure. The system rewards ownership, not effort. And the pathway from effort to ownership is not complicated. It is just not convenient. It requires deciding once how your money moves, automating that decision so it does not rely on willpower, keeping your essential costs disciplined so the percentages can actually function, and then letting time do the work that most people are too impatient to let it do. 20% to growth, 10% to stability, 60% to essentials, 10% to enjoying the life you are building. That framework works on $2,000 a month. It works on $10,000 a month. The percentages scale. The structure stays. And followed consistently, it makes staying broke genuinely difficult. If something in this conversation shifted how you think about the money you are already earning, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. Tell me which part of this changed something for you. Because this conversation is happening across the world, and the perspective from where you are sitting genuinely matters. I read every comment. If this is the kind of content you want more of, no shortcuts, no gimmicks, just the mechanics that actually work, Subscribe and share this with someone who is earning well and still wondering why it never feels like enough. The money is already there. What changes is what you decide to do with it the moment it arrives.